Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today's video is a new Scrappy Tales video, and we are going to be looking at the J'adore collection. Now, I did not get everything, but I did get quite a few little goodies to play with this for the next 3 months, I think. So I am going to be playing with this for a little bit, and I can, I will go ahead and be making something today as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Sabrina sent to me. First, let's look at the paper pack. This is the J'adore 6x6 double-sided paper pack. Look at this. This is just lovely. And let me adjust the color just a little bit because this is a bright pink. This looks a little bit orangish for some reason on my screen, so may not be exactly correct colors, guys. I will apologize for that now. Let's see. I would say that this is closer to correct. Okay, so that looks good. So this first one has got a bunch of Eiffel Towers and pretty pink background and Paris, and then we've got those fleur-de-lis on the back in green, so that is pretty. So you can go with pink or green with that one sheet, and this does have 24 sheets, 12 different designs, 4 of each design. Then we've got little shopping spree there. We've got some fun patterns that are leopard print, and then this looks kind of like a chess set to me. Lovely, lovely, lovely script writing for Paris, and again another sheet that is in Paris. I'm sorry, these are all really, to me it looks like high fashion, like you're going to Paris for one of those fashion shows, which I don't know that I would ever actually do, but anyhow. So we've got a lot of different leopard prints in different colors. Then we've got perfume bottles and some more script and some more, and the fleur-de-lis. So these are some really, really pretty papers, and they are really nice and sturdy. Love that. Then perfume bottle. We have got a giant perfume bottle. So this is a really nice big die. This one measures, it's almost 6 inches tall and right at 4 inches wide. So this is basically a shaped card. I think that is so totally cool. But yeah, we've got this humongous perfume bottle and a lot of different pieces to go along with it. Flowers, labels, the whole bit. And then we've got this stamp set for all of the labels that you could put on the front. I think that is super cute. We've got 2 packs of embellishments here. This one is a glitter mix with pretty little fuchsia and pink and silver stars, and then we've got some really pretty little gems in some fuchsia color too. And then speaking of fashion, we've got a high heel shoe. I think this is so pretty. You can make, there are actually a few different designs on here, so that I think is going to be real pretty. And the shoe is over 4 inches wide and over 4 inches tall. So this one is basically a 4.5 by 4.5 inch square card, or a shaped card, or anything like that. So I haven't decided which of these I'm going to start off with, but aren't they just adorable? So let's go ahead and move everything to the side, and I will be back in a minute after deciding which, I've got a couple of ideas, which idea I want to run with first. So I think I'm going to start off with this beauty. But first, let's go ahead and start taking all the pieces apart so I'm able to die cut it all. So anyway, this die, turns out that I measured it a little bit wrong. This is an A2 size card base, and it is just small enough to fit on an A2 size card base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a shaped card that's a side fold. I think that is going to be super cute. And I just realized this is made to work that way. If you look real close, you can see that there's not a blade on this side. So it is actually made for you to have this side as being your opening. So that is even better. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this out and make sure that this part is on my fold. There we go. And let's go ahead and just tape that down with some Best Ever craft tape to make sure that it stays in place. So the line the line that is not a cutting line, it's basically an embossed line. I've got it just over the edge of the folded side. So yes, that is the folded side. So that's going to be the side that it needs to have the fold on. The other side is the opening. Now I'm going to run that through my Platinum 6. And make sure that you do put it at an angle that gives it more of a chance for it to actually cut all the way through. I'm probably going to need to run it through a second time because it's probably only going to cut completely through the first side and not the second. So let's take a look. So I've got a good imprint on the back, on the opposite side, and it did cut through part of it, so that is good. So I'm going to cut off the parts that are released, which are awesome, and I'm going to reposition my die so it's going to cut through the other side the rest of the way. And now we have our card base. So I think I'm going to use this lovely Paris with all the Eiffel Towers as the main part of my card. And I don't want to waste too much of this, so I'm going to cut it down to about 4 1/8. This does measure right at 4 inches. Actually, it's like under 4 inches. I'm going to use it as a guide, okay? So I've got it placed into my paper trimmer and I'm just sliding my paper over, but I do still want to leave a little bit of a gap just to be on the safe side. So let's go ahead and cut this a little bit off. And now I'll go ahead and cut this one down. And I can use my paper trimmer to cut off that extra edge that's going to be on the side. Okay, just run that through my die cutting machine. Okay, and then I'm going to just cut off the extra using my paper trimmer. It's probably, actually, I think what I'm going to do instead. So this is kind of what it looks like right now. I want to make sure that this comes all the way to the edge. I want to make sure that it matches. So I'm going to go ahead and hear it down. But I don't need this top bit here, so I will go ahead and cut that off. And I'll go ahead and glue this part down using my art glitter glue. And this is going edge to edge, so I'm just using the flat surface of my paper trimmer or my desk to adhere that down. So that I think is pretty so far. Now I can line that up right with the edge there and trim off that excess, and it comes right up to the edge. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Next, I need to cut a piece that's going to be for my lid. Now, I don't want it to be all matchy-matchy. I want the lid to be different than my bottle, so that's why I'm going to be using a different cardstock for that. Now, one thing with the top here is that it's real easy to tear off. There are a couple of slits on the top and the bottom that also make it easy for you to create a top, which is great, but I want to have more sturdiness there, so I did do some partial die cutting with a couple of pieces of black that I'm going to put there to kind of sturdy it up a little bit. And I'm going to be cutting it out of some silver. Now, I don't know that this piece is actually necessary, but yeah, I'm going to be extra cautious. Now I'm going to use some pretty glitter cardstock for the lid and for the label. Now, I've left these two pieces together, just like the other one. There are actually two different label dies that are basically nested. I left those together so I can create the little frame, and then for the inside I'll add my sentiment to that bit. So I've got those taped down onto, kind of, sorta. Tape does not like to stick to glitter paper, if you haven't noticed that. And I'm going to try to get this a little bit at an angle. I only need to cut to there, so I don't have to send it all the way through my machine. I can do a partial die cut. So let's go ahead and run that through. Thing is, I don't want to waste too much of my pretty glitter cardstock. I can use all of the scrap for something else. So I'm going to leave it pretty close to the edge, and then start just cranking it through to that, basically that midpoint. Okay. And since this is glitter cardstock, I'm going to run it through a couple of times because it doesn't always want to cut through. Okay. So let's see how that did. I think it's just that glitter cardstock is a bit thicker, and a lot of times it has a plastic component and that sort of thing, so it doesn't always want to cut. But my frame looks great. And so does my little lid, and I'll just trim off this little bit of extra. It doesn't take much, because there is that slit that's already there. That also means that it's going to stay pretty much straight. Can't mess up that cut very easily. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue my glitter cardstock down to my black extra piece. And then I'll add them both to the card. There we go. So the little frame is going to go there for my label piece. So that's going to be cute. And then I've got this piece to use on another card. I'm going to stamp my sentiment down on some white cardstock, just a scrap out of my scrap bin. And I'm using from this stamp set. Stamp set is called, I will let you guys know, Designer Friend Sentiments. I'm actually using this one up here. Number 1 Friend Paris Art of Perfume, and the frame there. And I'm just going to use my Gina K Designs Amalgam Ink in Obsidian Black. And it is 3 separate stamps, so I lined them up as straight as possible. Kind of matching what was in the suggestion. See how that looks? Looks pretty good, but it does need to be a little darker. So I'm going to do another, probably 1 or 2 more stampings with that black ink. These are brand new stamps, so sometimes it doesn't stamp as cleanly or as pretty as you'd like, but that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to go 1 more time just to be on the safe side. And there we go. That is a perfect sentiment for the front of our bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and add my silver frame around my sentiment. And then I'm going to cut off the excess because I want to make sure that it fits perfect. And the frame is right there on that edge. So it does have it does fit absolutely perfectly. It's awesome. So let that dry for a second. And while I'm doing that, I can look at some of these other dies. Now, we've also got in here a band to go across the center there. We've got a little heart, so we can decorate that up. We've got a bow, and we've got some flowers. I think I'm going to just stick with the bow and the band across the center with its little heart like that, and go ahead and do those. Now this piece here, I wasn't sure what it was to begin with. It's like, what is it? It actually is the extra piece here, so you can have a 2-tone bow. So we're going to do that. And I was going to use some regular pink cardstock, but I think my pink is not going to be quite dark enough. But there is enough left of this scrap here that I can use that, I think, for my bow. And then I could use this maybe as an accent, or I could use some silver as my accent. So let's see how that's going to look. So I'm using the bow on that pink Paris pattern paper, say that 5 times fast. And I'm not sure if I'm covering the entire thing, because it's right up at the edge, but even if it is, these little pieces should cover up anything that I missed. But it looks like I actually got pretty well on there. So that looks good. And then I've got my little extra pieces. And let's see how that is going to look. I know everything is going to be pretty much matchy-matchy, but I think that is going to look pretty good. So on the bow die, it's got cut lines to show you exactly where everything is supposed to go. So this is going to go there. So it's going to look like a 2 layer. So like it's got silver on the back and this pretty pattern paper on the front. So we're going to go with that. And because this is the pattern paper and I know it's going to take a second to set, I'm going to just use a clip there to hold it in place while I do the other one. There we go. And haven't decided, I may put some silver in the middle, but let's go ahead and instead trim this guy off since it's all dry and ready to go. I'm just going to use my scissors to cut right up against that frame that I already put on there. And I think I'm going to put it right about there, and then I could use that little die, this little heart die. I could use that and put it right over the center there. I am not 100% sure. I think this is actually good enough. I don't need anything additional. That silver glitter is just enough, and I think this is going to look pretty cute. So let me go ahead and just adhere these last couple of bits down. And I think I'm going to also, like I do so often, I'm going to use some foam tape for this. So putting some foam tape on the back of my sentiment. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with my bow. Put a little bit of foam on the back of it, but I think only behind the ribbon parts. Let's put some there, and some there, and some glue right in the center. Okay, there we go. I'm going to let that sit for a second so that the center has a chance to adhere to that glitter, because nothing likes to stick to glitter. For the inside of the card, I am going to go ahead and add a sentiment. I'm using another one of the sentiments from that set and using the other frame. And this says, "Friends are like diamonds, beautiful, valuable, and always in style." So I'm going to stamp that a couple of times. So I don't want this to be the exact size of the inside of my card. I'm not doing that. But I do want it to be pretty much centered. So I am lining that one up so it's kind of straight. And then I'm going to run it through with the die that is the shape of it. Then I can trim it back down to whatever size I want with my paper trimmer. And I can make sure that that sentiment is right in the center. So if I put that on the inside of my card, it would go all the way to the edge, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take my paper trimmer and trim it down a little bit. Okay, so this is 4 inches tall, so I'm going to cut about, let's go with a 1/4 inch all the way around. Okay, so there we go. And now we can put that on the inside of our card. And I'm just going to use some of my art glitter glue for that. And I'm going to add this piece up here just as kind of an accent and to give that piece a little bit more sturdiness. I think that card turned out pretty cute. That's going to finish up this project for Scrappy Tales. You guys check out this playlist to see some more videos where I'm using Scrappy Tales products, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.